The unusual manoeuvre from the van in front catches the biker out that comes from the left-hand side.
Are you battery? Are you battery? Are you a battery egg? I think I'd be more of a battery egg. You reckon? It was an egg. You've done well though. Yeah. From a battery egg, beautiful omelette.
The driver of the van didn't realise that there'd been a collision and drove off nonchalantly. You could hear horns from many of the road users who had witnessed this. The driver of this black pickup seems to give chase. It's not known whether the driver of this pickup actually caught up with the driver of the van, but my viewer provided the footage to the biker anyway. What things contributed to this collision? It might have been quite difficult to tell, but this van driver in front has gone the wrong way, and they wish to come back to here, and once they complete their right turn, they then try to do a complete U-turn. This is pretty obviously an unusual manoeuvre, and it did catch the biker out. Because of the van's relatively slow speed, there's no brake lights, and I think this is the first thing that caused problems. But we can't hold anyone to account for driving slowly. The driver of the van also doesn't signal to right turn, and only puts the right signal on when they've entered the new road just prior to attempting the U-turn. It was actually a little unfortunate that there was a lack of vehicles coming from our right hand side as we look at it, else the van would have had to have stopped. If we go back to the beginning of the clip, we can see where the van tried to do its turn actually wasn't illegal. There was no solid lines that they crossed. The pause at this bit is to show a couple of things. I'd like to point out how quickly the lights changed from the other direction, and we're going to be watching this traffic light here, and at the same time have a little look at what the motorcyclist does before it goes on green. There was little delay between the lights changing, and the motorcyclist is already on the way, and they're moving quickly. It's as if they've set their mind on an overtake without even assessing the situation. They catch the van up quickly without spotting the signal or in fact the slowing down and the wheels turning. And obviously they couldn't stop in time.
You've done well though. Yeah. From a battery egg, beautiful omelette.
I thought it was actually quite nice to see so many people try and come to the biker's aid. However, most of the blame needs to be put on their own shoulders. Maybe the driver of the van should have looked out for this, however, it's probably unexpected that anyone's going to be moving that quick and catching you up that soon. I personally think though the traffic lights need a bigger delay between one side stopping and the other side going. This one happens very quickly. This was the damage to my viewer's car. And this was the damage to the Fiesta. But how could this have been avoided? By using the centre line markings and time travelled, my viewer I think was doing approximately 31 miles an hour. And although not breaking the speed limit by much, it was still too fast to cope with this terrible emerge. You can see the reflection of the lights on the wall to the right, but by the time the car to the left is visible, it's too late. What was that other driver thinking? Another clip where my viewer may not have been going faster than the 40 limit, however, it was still too fast to cope with what happens. Were there more clues with this clip than the last one? I think my viewer did a good job to avoid contact, and I don't think there was any made, because the driver of the four-wheel drive seems to just drive off. Personally though, I think they would be liable if there is damage to my viewer's car. Let me know what you think. A little extra point from this clip is I think I would have held back and let this lorry cross my path. It doesn't take long if you slow early and make it obvious, then all the traffic can flow. But this had no bearing on the clip, as my viewer didn't know that this vehicle was going to pull out. But you still need to be ready for it. Unfortunately, the view of this entrance has been blocked by this white van on the right, but you can see the car emerging at this point. Again, it's a terrible emerge, but I would hope that I would be at a speed where I could stop, not just swerve. If there's pedestrians on the pavement at that point, they're a goner. What do you think about what I said about liability? Do you think the driver of the 4x4 should be picking up any costs if there was any damage? At the very least, I think they should have stopped. We've got no footage before this point, but this is a driving lesson being conducted by a driving instructor. This clip of this poor emerge is a little different. There's an unobstructed view of the junction. This black car on the right hand side simply pulls out and collides with a driving school vehicle. Again, another terrible emerge. But do you think the instructor had time to do anything different? It was only a glancing blow, but I'm pretty sure there would have been a little bit of damage. The red car's waiting, and just behind the red car there's a white van that's waiting also. The driver of the black car has just seen these two other road users and feels compelled to go. They pull out without looking. You may have been able to pick up on how quickly the driver of the black car has just moved, but I think this is way too close for the instructor to be reasonably expected to do anything. It would take at least half a second to react, and we're only 2 or 3 car lengths from that potential collision point. A final destination moment. Again, what would have happened if that had been a motorbike coming past, or a bicycle? People need to take much more care when they're emerging. In this clip, it's the Audi from the left hand side that emerges poorly at the roundabout that we're going to be watching. My viewer nearly saved it. There was contact though. There was some scraping and some bumper damage on my viewer's front near side, and the Audi had some scrapes along both doors and the rear wheel arch. There are a few factors that I'd like to point out with this clip. Pretty obviously it's down to the driver of the Audi, but my viewer could have maybe picked up on these clues. From this point over the next couple of seconds, look at the lack of adjustment of speed from the Audi driver. It's not unreasonable at this point to be working on this, as there's no one ever going to be coming from the right side when my viewer arrives there. The sun's pretty low in the sky and it's coming from my viewer's right. This could have been a factor, but we'll never know for certain. I think at this point it's pretty obvious that the driver of the Audi is going to continue out. I think my viewer's slightly too fast, as they do cut the roundabout a little. If they had have been slow enough to go fully around the roundabout, they may have got this one in time. This is an utter assumption on my part, but when I see vehicles with tinted windows like this, I often think they're there to stop people seeing them being on the phone. These are not from factory, and these are illegal. Regardless of that, it's going to be the Audi driver's insurance picking up the tab. We've already seen the 5 clips that I'm going to analyse today, but this is an extra clip with a little message. Try and get yourself a dashcam if you can afford one. Not long after my viewer stops, he gets hit from behind. He stops, obviously to exchange details, but the driver just drives off. I'm going to be totally transparent and show that this is a next-based camera recording this, and the footage looks pretty good. But I have heard a number of reports about batteries dying on these next-based units. I obviously recommend VFO cameras because they use a capacitor rather than a battery. Have a look at this driver doing circles because they've realised they can't get out down here. But running a dashcam in your car offers you that little bit more protection in events like this. Keep safe everyone, I'll see you soon.